I'm going to be talking to you about balancing efficiency and cost in today's building climate. I'm going to break this down into who I am and most likely why you are listening to me, the issues navigating the residential construction industry as a consumer, and my objective with this report, my research methodology, and my results. Who am I? I am Kyle Chandler. I'm a mature student, moving on to my second career. I spent 11 years in the military and then retired a few years ago. Got into carpentry. I have 3 years of carpentry experience, which I rely on heavily when I'm going through my architectural technologist studies currently. I'm moving into my 4th semester, and hopefully in the not too distant future, I will be a home builder, a new home builder for my own home. So navigating the residential construction industry as a consumer presents a lot of challenges. First and foremost, there is an abundance of quite specialized information out there for people who have varying degrees of knowledge as a consumer. Even myself, someone having a couple years education in the industry, I do find there's a lot out there and it's hard to sift through everything. There's a lot of biased information. Likely if you're looking at a specific building assembly, you're going to be finding an advertisement. It might not look like an advertisement, but it's likely a technical paper written by the product manufacturer, and they'll be quick to point out all the good things about them and quicker to omit potential downfalls with their product. It's also varied levels of knowledge within the industry, on the carpentry side and even on the architectural side. You don't know what you're getting into necessarily, and there's also varied motivations within the industry. Unless you build a home with your standards and your priorities in mind, you don't really know what you're going to get. For example, the house I live in now was built in 2017 by what appears to be a reputable builder in the neighborhood, and I'm finding things that I would have changed design-wise, missed opportunities, things of that nature, now that I'm looking at it with a more stringent eye. So my research methodology was first to identify viable building practices and techniques for the National Capital Region in Canada. Then vetted that information, separating these hidden advertisements from unbiased sources. And then I assessed the assemblies to try to determine a cost performance benefit. So I broke down my results by taking prospective homes and breaking them down into 4 major components: foundations, wall systems, windows and doors, roof assemblies. And I tried to figure out what would be the best way for someone who was looking for just an economic route, someone who's looking for specifically an environmentally friendly route, someone who's looking for a balance of both. And really, there's a lot of different ways to do it and get those results that you want. I started to realize that prioritizing performance goals over tying yourself to a specific assembly for whatever reason might be a better strategy, because you don't know about availability of those materials. If you have to change it, then your whole design might be working around that specific material. It's maybe better to focus on fundamental design over systems, because if you're trying to make the perfect system, you could just have a good design that requires less insulation, and so forth. So standards, I'll cut into the different standards and some issues with those and why they might be a little bit misleading. For example, Energy Star and R2000, they use the reference method where they compare your prospective house with performance of a fictional, non-existing code-built house, and they compare the performance theoretically, which has varying degrees of accuracy, but also the biggest problem is that code building might be a bad design to start with. Whereas you get to the passive house and the net zero energy or the net zero energy ready houses, and they are determined by their actual performance in real time and real life. And they need to rely on good fundamental design strategies in order to make those standards, because they are difficult to achieve. My conclusion is that more important than finding that perfect assembly system combination is just finding a reputable and proven builder who can take your specific conditions at your site and execute a design that works, that performs. Determine your priorities as a consumer, as a homeowner, and work from an integrated design strategy to make that happen and make sure that the goals are achieved, whatever they are. My advice would be to favor performance over all else. If you design a high performance house, you're going to naturally, organically come to a good design, a enduring design. And for the incremental costs that you might experience at the start for having a high performance envelope, people forget that your reduced heating and cooling requirements is going to substantially offset that initial cost, further bridging that gap. And who knows the state of the world in a couple of years? If you're talking about a house that is 80 to 100% more efficient in using utilities, that sounds like a pretty good investment to me. And you're going to be living in a good, solid, healthy house at the same time. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to hear some questions.